This lesson is about rotations on the coordinate plane. And a rotation is a transformation that turns a figure around a given point at a given angle. Typically, when we're talking on a coordinate plane, when it says a given point, we're meaning about the origin. So, if you remember, the origin is the center point. It's that 0, 0 point in the center of the coordinate plane. So if you look here, from A to B, it's been rotated 90 degrees about the origin. If you go from this point to this point, that's 90 degrees. If you move from this point to this point, it's 90 degrees, and so on and so forth. This point to this point's 90, and then this one to this one's 90. So each of these shapes has been rotated 90 degrees around the coordinate plane. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the degrees. And so first of all, the 0 degree mark is going to be over here on this axis. And we're going to, the direction can either be clockwise or counterclockwise. So if it's going clockwise, that's the way of a clock, it's going to be moving this direction to come around here. When it reaches this point, that's going to be a 90-degree turn. So this one would be 90 degrees clockwise. CW for clockwise. Now it's going to keep moving in a clockwise fashion to get up here, and that is 180 degrees clockwise. And it's going to keep moving here in a clockwise fashion, and that's going to be 270 degrees clockwise. And then I'm going to keep moving to down here, and I'm back at 0, but we've actually been in a full circle, so 0 or 360 degrees clockwise. Now, it's either going to ask you to move it clockwise or counterclockwise. So, if we go counterclockwise, we're still going to start at 0 degrees here. Instead of going clockwise, we're going counterclockwise. So we're moving this direction. And our first stop is 90 degrees here, counterclockwise. So the opposite of a clock. Now 90 degrees and 270 clockwise are going to be exactly the same rotation. Now we're going to keep going around. And this would be 180 degrees. 180 degrees counterclockwise. As we keep moving around, we get down here, and this would be 270 degrees counterclockwise. And we go back to the beginning, and this would be 360 degrees counterclockwise. So the important thing to notice is what direction you're moving, and know that some of these are the same. So 270 clockwise and 90 degrees counterclockwise are the same exact rotation. Your shape should look the same. 90 degrees clockwise and 270 counterclockwise are the same. And then 180 is the same as 180. And then 0 and 360 are the same for both. So it's going to be important to note these degrees as we're rotating our shapes. All right, so now that we know what's the same and what's different when it comes to our rotations, we're going to talk about the rules. So if my point is XY and I either do 90 degrees clockwise or 270 degrees counterclockwise, what that's going to do is make my Y and X change spots and the X term to become the opposite. So if you look at the grid up here, I have the point over 2, up 5. My first rotation is either 90 degrees clockwise or 270 degrees counterclockwise. So I'm going to flip the 2 points. So instead of 2, 5, it's going to be 5, 2. And the X is going to be the opposite. So if it was a positive 2, it's going to go to a negative 2. So I'm going to graph that point. So positive 5 negative 2. I'm going to label it here, positive 5, negative 2. And that was a rotation of either 90 degrees clockwise or 270 degrees counterclockwise. So now let's look at a 180 degree rotation. That's either clockwise or counterclockwise. That rule is the opposite of x and the opposite of y. And let me change colors here to make it a little easier to read. Opposite of x, opposite of y. So if my point was 2, 5 to begin with, it would be negative 2, negative 5. So to the left 2, down 5. Here we go. So it would be negative 2, negative 5. That would be a 180 degree rotation, and it could be clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, now let's look at either a 270 degree clockwise turn or a 90 degree clockwise turn. So what that's going to do is going to flip our term, so it's going to be y comma x, and the y this time is going to be the opposite. So if the y is the opposite, first of all, if they flip, it's going to be 5, 2, 5, 2, and the y is the opposite, so the y is going to become the negative, so negative 5, 2. So you're going to go to the left 5, up 2. Label it, negative 5, 2, and that is either a 270 degrees clockwise turn or a 90 degrees counterclockwise turn. And the last one, a 360 degree turn. This could be either clockwise or counterclockwise. So what that means is that it's going to go in a complete circle, and it's really not going to change. It's just going to stay x, y. So the point would just stay the same, 2, 5. So 2, 5 here. And that would be a 360 degree turn. It's important to note that all of these rotations that we just did are all about the origin or the center point. So each rotation is a turn about the origin. So the origin is like the vertex of the angle or the corner of the angle. Just an important note to make. These rules only work when it's about the origin. If it's turned about a different point, these rules do not apply. Please complete the practice problems. Make sure you read the directions for each one. Complete on your page, ready for class tomorrow.